Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Accent Training Podcast. My name is Pat. I'm your personal American accent coach. And today I want to help you take things up a level in how you ask questions and get detailed responses to those questions. We're following up from our previous episode about open questions, which follow a pattern of Sounds a little silly when you put it on its own, but with some words you get, where should we go? What do you drive? What time will you get here? The key is that only one word rises up for every thought communicated. Now consider this, if you're returning a question to somebody, like if somebody asks you, how are you today? How are you today? And you want to return the question to them after. You wouldn't emphasize the same word as they did. You would actually emphasize the word you. How are you today? How are you today? How are you today? I'm great. How are you today? Or, what do you do for a living? I'm an engineer. What do you do for a living? Where would you go on vacation? I'd go to Cancun. Where would you go on vacation? Where are you from? I'm from Toronto. Where are you from? You see, returning a question emphasizes the word you. So let's give this a shot. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions right now, and I want you to give me an answer. And when you give me that answer, put your emphasis on the word you. Starting with, what music do you like? Where are you from? When will you arrive? Where did you park? What do you think about this? All right, so when you're returning a question, you emphasize you. Another change you want to consider is how you might emphasize the auxiliary verb. All right, this is like the word is, are, did, will in the question. When you emphasize the auxiliary verb, you're adding extra curiosity. You're saying, I really want to know. I'm really confused here. Please tell me more. Here are some examples. What will it cost? I really need to know. Whose car is that? Again, you're surprised by the car. It may be an incredible $1 million Bugatti or some metal death trap. Either way, it's something very surprising and you're really curious about it. Whose car is that? When did they get here? I didn't see them arrive. I must have missed them. When did they get here? Again, I really need to know. How did you find out? I'm so curious. How did you find out? Please tell me. Another one I want to bring your attention to here is when you emphasize the pronoun. You're bringing people's attention to that particular pronoun compared to others. For example, what will this cost? Now you're saying, what will this cost compared to that? Where should we eat? Like, I know where they're going to eat, but where should we eat? What do you think of this coffee? You didn't like the other coffee. What do you think of this coffee? How far is that from here? We discussed how far this is. How far is that? When did they get here? What tools will she need? I know what tools everybody else needs, but what tools will she need? Now, those three contexts are some of the most important ones that I wanted to bring to your attention today, just to shed a little light on what you're saying when you put your emphasis in a certain spot. You may get all the right words and even pronounce all the words correctly, But if your emphasis doesn't match the context, you still won't be understood completely. It's not just about what you say, it's about the way you say it. So how can you start saying this in the way that's going to serve you best? Well, once again, you've got to develop some phrases that are going to serve you most. And then you've got to repeat those phrases for yourself dozens of times until they become completely ingrained in your memory. Then go out into the real world and use them. Are you going to make mistakes when you use them? Yes, you will. But something fascinating is when you make mistakes, your brain actually prepares itself to avoid the mistake over your next attempt. This is something that neuroscience tells us, and it's proof that making mistakes is a part of the learning process. It's how you correct yourself to do it perfectly later on. So create those phrases that'll serve you best, put them to work in real life, make mistakes, nobody's gonna notice, nobody's gonna care except for you, and let those mistakes guide you forward. And if you follow those steps, you'll be speaking with American intonation in no time, my friend. Have a good one. You and I are here to see that English communication is a bridge for your personal and professional life, not a barrier. With a structured approach, you'll stop wasting time guessing and start seeing compounding results to quickly let your expertise be the focus, not your pronunciation. Open the link in the show notes now and book your first free consultation with me. I'll personally show you what those next steps look like.